And now in this lesson, what we're going to be doing is creating our folio section. So in the design, we've got the section where we've got, I guess, a little bit of a folio that links to our projects. In this, what we're going to do is actually be using the Oxygen Gallery. So I'm going to set up the Oxygen Gallery for now for a specific reason, and that is because I think you'll be using the gallery a fair bit. It's a pretty handy component of Oxygen. So we're going to have a good look at that. And we're also going to play it with a couple of things. We've already looked at the grid, so we'll be playing with that again. And there's a few layout tricks that we've got, such as a transform. So keep your eyes open for that, and let's get started. So now it's time to create our folio section. So let's scroll down so we can see a little bit better. And like always, let's just bring up this XD file to give ourselves a bit of a reference of what we're going to create here. Now there's a couple of things. We've got this, I guess, interesting little box that's got a little bit of negative margin, and this little thing that hints at a call to action or that there's further content down the page, which I was talking about earlier. And then we've got this grid here itself. Now in this lesson, we're not actually going to create this as an actual link to our folio. We're going to wait until we create our custom post types, and we do have a specific lesson on that. But what we're going to do here is do some of the same things. We're going to create the same layout using the grid builder, but we're also going to introduce the Oxygen Gallery. So it's a good chance to have a look at the Oxygen Gallery and how that works. Later on, we'll update this so that it's linking to the real portfolio rather than linking to gallery images. But anyway, let's get started and get some of this stuff set up. So let's just remember a few things. We've got this dark blue background, we've got this light blue box, we've got our button and our text. Okay, I'm back in Oxygen. I'm going to get our folio section, and I'm going to give it this dark blue background color. Now, if you look here, you'll notice that some of this stuff is full width. So we're actually going to want to change this here out of the page width. So if we go into advanced, size and spacing, we're going to go out of page width here, and we want to go to full width, and now that's going to span that whole area. Now something that's going to happen is we're going to put in a div to, I guess, contain this stuff here, and that isn't full width, that is the page width. So here's how we'll do something like that. Let's put in a div, we'll go add div, and we actually want another div, so I'm going to actually duplicate this here so it's underneath it. Now one is going to be our gallery here, and one is going to be this content. So we're going to do a few things here. We'll align this to center. We're going to make this one, say 100% width. I'm going to make this one our page width. Now, if you can't remember what that is, you can go to Manage, Settings, and go to your global styles, and you can see that the page width is 1120. I'm just going to copy that. And if I go to this, what you can do is you can do the same thing actually. You make this 100% width, but then under advanced, we go to size and spacing and change our maximum width to 1120. And I'll show you why this is an advantage later on. It gives us a bit more instant responsiveness, which is a great way of doing it rather than setting the width as 1120 and then needing to change that for every breakpoint. By making the width 100% and making the max width 1120, it will allow it to scale down automatically by itself. All right, you can see a few things here. We've got this padding along the top and the bottom and even the sides of our section, and we want to get rid of that. So if you want, you can go into the actual folio, go to the advanced size and spacing and change these, or you can actually just select them and pull them, and they're actually going to disappear as you do them. Or like I said, type the numbers in here, and now we're at the full width here, and we've got this one at this smaller width. Now we want to put in our background color, which was the lighter blue. And we've got in there a heading. And we've also got in there some text. Again, let's center this. We'll give our text a color. So under typography, color, white. And then we'll copy that again. And I will copy this one. So now we've got our text and our header. And we do want to change this to green. We do have a class for our green, so we'll put in green text, and there we go. Now we're going to want to add a few things, a bit of spacing, but before we do that, I want to get this little bit set up here, and that's going to be a little bit of fun, so let's get that stuck in here. We'll do that by creating another div inside here. Add div, pull that to the top, and inside that we're going to place an image. So we'll go down to image, and then we'll find a little arrow image. So we'll browse, we'll upload that, and we'll find our arrow icon, select. Now this div here, I'm going to want to put an actual fixed size on this. I'm going to make this maybe say 80 pixels wide, 80 pixels high. And I'm going to want to center this and center this. We'll need a background color because we're going to offset this, the same color there. We can go into advanced, size and spacing, and then give this a negative margin. We know that it's 80 pixels, we want to go halfway, so 40 pixels. Okay, that's kind of working. If we click save and refresh, there's something going on, but it's not exactly like we want here. It's on a strange angle, and we've got these rounded corners. So we should know how to do the rounded corners fairly easily. We can go into here, select the div, go into advanced, borders, and put on a border radius of say 20 pixels. And then what we're actually going to want to do is transform this so it actually tilts it. We can go into effects, transform, add a transform of rotate, and go 45 degrees. And you can see that's turned our image, our arrow there. So we just do the same thing to the arrow. We go into advanced, effects, transform, add a transform of rotate, and this time we want to go minus 45 degrees. And there we go. We've got the same looking thing here. Now there's a couple of things we want to do. I'm going to add some space above the text. I'm going to do this manually, and then some space underneath this div here. Now you could do this manually by putting this in, or you can just do what I've done, which is sort of eyeball that a little bit. Now the space between this is a little bit high, so I'm going to reduce this by selecting the text, going into advanced typography, and this would be to do with the line height. So I'm going to make that say 1.2, and you can see that's already brought that closer together. And all we need to do here is make sure we select this div. I'll put a negative margin on this whole div here. So advanced, size and spacing, negative margin of say 50 pixels, click save, refresh, and there we go. That's looking a lot more like our design. Perfect. Now you can change that as much as you like and tweak it a lot, but there you go, that's how we've got that effect. So now what we want to do is get our gallery happening in here. We've got our div set up for this, and we want to insert a gallery. We can go to add, type in gallery, and it will bring this up. Now, with galleries, there's a few sources that you've got. You've actually got a media gallery where you can link to assets that you upload, such as images. You can use ACF here, which is a fantastic way for clients to be able to add new images without needing to go into Oxygen. You can set up an ACF repeater or something like that where they select the images they want. ACF has a gallery itself, and then it will link to that ACF field. But we're going to use this media library here. We're just going to browse and upload our images. So let's go browse, upload our files, find these. So if we go to our exported images, and we've got our projects, we're going to use these as our gallery images now. Can open these up, create a new gallery, and insert the gallery. So I've already got that stuff in there. It's not exactly what we want, but let's have a look at some of the features that we've got with the gallery here. So link to images, yes, that means it's going to actually, when you click these, link to an image. We want them to be in a lightbox, yes. We can change the layout, captions, and some stuff to do with the hover. such as fading the images a little bit and changing the sort of duration here. So let's make this so that it just fades out a little bit. We'll make this 1, and then on the hover we'll make this 0.8. Just so it fades slightly as we roll over these. We can go to our layout and change this from flex to grid. But before we do that, let's get rid of some of this spacing here. Space around the images, 0. There we go, that's nice and tight now. Now we want to go into the grid so we can change this layout a little bit. So click grid and it'll start to give us some more control. You'll see we've got some gaps back here, but we can delete them. They're gaps in the grid. So we'll go to 0 and then we'll go to delete the gaps in the row. So 0. Now again, you've got this little bit of a gap under the images itself, and that has to do with the line height. If you actually go to the gallery and go into advanced, you can go to typography and change that line height to 0, and it's going to get rid of that gap. Now let's go back into the gallery and go into the grid that we wanted to, layout, grid, and we can start to change how that grid looks. So scroll down to the bottom and you can override these spans here and match our design that we've got here. So we've got this one that spans across 2, and we've got one that's these that span across 1 each. Then we've got this one that spans across the height of 2, and this one the width of 2, and then 1 each. So let's try and match this up. Click this and make it span a column of 2. And we'll make this so that it's doing the 3. This one here, if we select this, is going to be a row span of 2. The next one here is going to be a column span of 2. And that's got the right layout. Now you'll see, hang on, that doesn't look quite right. What we need to make sure we've got done here is that we set our image fit to cover. So click this, and now you can see we've got that layout pretty close to matching our XD file. Now let's have a quick look at what this looks like as a gallery. Let's click save, go back to our page and refresh this, and you can see, yes, it's fairly large in this situation, and maybe looking at this now, I might actually change this so that I have a 4 across, but let's just see how the gallery works. You can click an image and it's just going to open up that gallery. Now remember I said it was really important to set the Z index for our navigation. If we'd have left this by default, you'll find that when you click this and the modal pops up here, the lightbox window, that it actually goes underneath this sticky navigation, which is really bad. So that's a really important reminder of why we put that Z index on our header builder. But there we go. We've got our basics of this folio section. And later on, what we're going to do is essentially repeat this and make these so that they link to real projects. But that should give you a great idea of how the gallery setup works in Oxygen. So there we go. We have that portfolio section. It's working as a gallery for now, but that's really great. Hopefully you've got a good insight into the Oxygen gallery and you've learned a few things. So you know what to do. Click complete and I'll see you in the next lesson.